any post-credit scene, I really want that to be the end of Oppenheimer. It like the mid-credit scene is it pushes into a foggy gravestone, and the gravestone just says Adolf Hitler, and then you see a bony hand punch up through, and then it cuts to black.
Oh my god.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Bubble Boy podcast. First episode. My guest, best guest so far, I would say. His name's Mike. We're friends. You won the New Faces contest.
2019? 2018?
So statistically, technically, you're one of the funniest people.
Yeah, still.
Around. He also does a fantastic Tom Hardy impression.
It's true.
Before he gets to that, though, this is the Bubble Boy podcast. So we got a delicious soda. This is one of my favorites. I got a Mr. Cucumber. It's a cucumber soda. I like it because it's clean, it's light. I surprisingly enjoy it. It reminds me of you in those ways.
You know, when you say stuff, you have to give me such a nice intro. Like, oh, he's my friend. He's one of the funniest guys. And then you give me cucumber soda.
Dude, it's so good. I think you'll like it.
What were the alternative sodas? I don't want to, break the fourth wall, but there are other sodas here.
There's a McFuddy's Pepper Elixir.
Okay, maybe this was it.
Yeah.
Maybe this was
you'll like this. I think you'll like this.
It smells like cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
It really smells like cucumber.
It tastes exactly like a cucumber.
Oh, good. That's what you want.
Yeah, slurp it. How's that?
Oh, man, that's
very cucumber.
That's truly awful.
No, it's so good.
That's so bad.
It's so good.
That tastes like...
It tastes like a cucumber.
That tastes like a leftover salad. It tastes like somebody poured a bunch of sugar on a leftover salad.
Yeah, when you have a salad that sits in the fridge for a while and kind of like the condensation sits at the bottom of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's like they took a wet salad. Like when you rinse it off and like in the commercial, they're tossing all of that in the salad. You know, the salad's flying through the air in the commercial. All that water is just going into the bottling factory for Mr. Cucumber.
So we're not getting a sponsorship off this episode.
No, but I've discovered...
You burned me.
I've always thought it would
right
be funny to just advertise to the company without their permission. They can't stop you from saying you like a product and telling people about it. You could just be like... Today's episode is brought to you by AG1. AG1 has no affiliation with this show whatsoever, but I like getting my vitamins and greens from AG1. Every day I start with a fresh scoop of AG1 in my water. It's clean. It's good for you. And you could just go off like that.
So we should wipe out Palestine, and then you go right into that. Now you've just associated.
This is the first episode, so you don't have any sponsors yet.
No, of course not.
Oh, man, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Are you a sugarless gum company? Are you
no way. Sugar full.
No, look
this
at
is a Hubba Bubba.
You are sugar-free gum if I've ever met sugar-free gum. Are you a mild hot tamale knockoff? Are you...
Come on. You got one more in you.
Are you a non-denominational church?
All right.
This is Bubble Boy? Bubble Boy?
Bubble Boy.
Not Bottle Boy?
No, not Bottle Boy.
Because it's sodas, I thought.
Yeah, because bubbles like bubbles in the soda.
Okay.
Bubble Boy.
Mm.
Should we say it again?
Bubble Boy.
Bubble
Boy.
That'll be the intro for every episode from here on out.
Now you're doing this, it's just you. You're not going to get a co-host.
I don't think so.
You don't need a useful idiot?
I think depending on how well this goes, if every interview is a real slog, it might be easier just to have a guy who I talk to instead of like, because I want to have comics on, but I'm not friends with all the like it might be someone who I like, doesn't necessarily mean we're friends, and they might bring some weird energy to it.
Yes.
So I don't know. Yeah, who's to say? This could be bad.
I can't get the tail.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, but okay, so
you can hold this. You can put it anywhere near your face.
You just want it closer to my face.
You can put it You can take it out of the stand if you want to do like.
No. I like this. I need the ability to move because of my recent procedure. I'm wiggling a little bit.
I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it.
We can. Let's not talk about it now because I want to focus on what your plans are for this podcast.
Okay, this is good first episode energy.
Yeah.
Where we talk about we go, instead of having like a fun, interesting conversation, we just start meta talking about the production and distribution of the podcast.
So I've started in the last 3 years of my life, pretty much since the start of COVID, I've started listening to podcasts. For a long time, I just kind of thought, like, do I need the opinion of another stand-up comedian from Arizona? You know, do I care what this guy? And now I've discovered there's some good ones, there's some interesting ones, and so I listen. But my wife has really leaned into it during the pandemic, and she started listening to a bunch of podcasts. We listened to like all the murder ones, and I have found out that there's really two types of podcasts that exist now. There's three. There's the solo host.
Mm-hmm.
There is the solo host with Jamie. There's the Rogan, where you're just like, Jamie, pull that up. And there's a guy who's just doing the background work. You have to edit that out.
No, this is going to be a burp-heavy podcast,
yeah,
I'm realizing. I didn't really...
Which, by the way, I've already finished your disgusting soda.
So it's not that bad, is it?
I honestly, I can't... I think like every time you sip it, it gets the taste out of your mouth for a second, but then it comes flooding back.
That's the plug. That's the plug.
Get rid of the taste with more soda.
It's like how cigarettes hurt the back of your throat, and the only way to scratch it is to smoke more cigarettes.
Well, have you ever had like really good like spicy buffalo wings? And part of the thing that makes you eat more of them is like that first bite isn't spicy. It almost kind of like calms the spiciness down a little bit. Like the sauce, kind of like the ginger and everything floods your mouth. You're like, oh. And then it burns again, and you got to go back for more. That is Mr. Q, Cucumber Sparkling Cucumber Beverage. All natural. I find that so hard to believe.
No, look at the ingredients. It's like water, it's cucumber, it's sugar. It says nitrate on there or something.
Sparkling filtered water, cane sugar, citric acid, and natural cucumber extract, pasteurized.
That's it. It's actually good for you.
Why is it pasteurized? What does pasteurization actually mean? Isn't that when they boil it? Isn't that pasteurization?
I thought that was a milk exclusive thing.
That's what I thought too.
As the guy who only drinks soda and milk, I thought those were pretty exclusive, actually. I got to do some more research.
So, the third type of podcast is my favorite type of podcast, which is Useful Idiot Podcast, in which the host and the useful idiot are often both the host, but they just switch off the roles, in which they have like some point they're trying to make, and the other person asks them questions that only an idiot would ask. It's like, and that's when they discovered that the Milk Fresh Farm Factory was not, in fact, pasteurizing their milk. Wait a second, what is pasteurization? I'm like, thanks, yes, pasteurization.
You're just talking about any NPR podcast?
Yes, it's just, there's always some person who asks the question that they think the audience is too, like, they're like, the audience isn't going to understand that they should be confused here. So let's have an idiot ask this, and you're going to be the idiot this time. So, yeah, and that's when they discovered that the police were planting evidence at the crime scene.
What are the police?
Yeah, so
that's
the police are a group of people that we as a society.
Improv.
Yeah, and that's well done.
Thank you.
And that's my favorite kind, because you listen to it and it makes the person who's the idiot that episode sound like a fucking idiot. And then the next week you have to listen to them give their spiel about Gaza. Like, you were the person last week who didn't know what the police were.
I think the podcast that I tend to enjoy is usually it's two guys and it's jock and nerd.
Yeah.
Those are the two energies. There's guy who says retarded, and guy who goes, I don't like it that you just said retarded. And that's kind of their energy.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I like the faux outrage, the whoa, what are you saying? Slow. I'd like to apologize for my co-host here. We don't say the R word in this household, you know. And then the other guy is, you know, hate criming someone.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That'd be a fun kind of podcast.
Hate criming someone, or
hey, Mike, what is a hate crime? Oh. Okay, off to a good start. Yeah. Good improv. So, Mike, let's hear one of your world famous Tom Hardy impressions.
So, Russell, on a prior podcast we did, a competing podcast. I'm not sure if we want to name drop them because now you're enemies.
Well, they are worse. So I'm not.
Well, yes.
I'm not super.
Doubt. I don't want to give them.
It's like Coca-Cola saying like, "Oh, I want to name drop RC because what if I give them any credit?"
Yeah, if they're really the Mr. Q cucumber soda of the podcasting world. You know, Russell, he got me so good. We had a couple of drinks. I'd had a couple of drinks. Russell had like half of a Diet Coke, and we were doing this podcast.
I'm upset that you would say Diet Coke.
And Russell said out loud, he goes, "Oh, you know who does a great Tom Hardy impression? Mike." And I had just enough drinks that I was like, do I do a good Tom Hardy impression? Because I do like Tom Hardy. And he's like, go ahead, Mike. And I tried to do a Tom Hardy impression, and it was real bad. Because I don't think anyone does a good Tom Hardy impression. And now every time we do something, that's how you introduce me.
Yeah.
And I never found a funny way to riff on it or to,
Other than
go
to
with it.
it.
I can't yes and your Tom Hardy impression lies.
It's one of my favorite things to do is just to give someone improv that they didn't want or ask for.
Yes.
To be like, oh, so-and-so is their favorite movie is Christmas Shoes. Go ahead, Mike. Tell them all about Christmas Shoes. People love Mike will nonstop talk about Christmas shoes. Go ahead, Mike. Tell them all about Christmas shoes.
Christmas Shoes is a story about a anthropomorphic shoe that comes to life due to a Christmas wish made by the child who made the shoe in China. And his wish is to be reunited with his pair shoe that got shipped to America without him. And so the little Chinese slave child and the rich, douchey, liberal white child have to find the matching shoes. And then they discover that two people can't share shoes, and so the child is deported.
That's honestly, I think that would be a better movie than what Christmas Shoes really is.
Is there a movie called Christmas Shoes?
Oh, you don't know Real Christmas Shoes?
No, I don't.
Real Christmas Shoes is a movie/song about a little boy who goes to a shoe store to buy shoes for his mom who has cancer, and he wants her to look beautiful before she dies, so he's trying to buy her Christmas shoes. But that's not what the movie's about. The movie's about the guy who sells him the shoes.
Does he end up nailing the mom?
What?
Does he end up nailing the mom?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so?
What happens is the mom dies of cancer. And the point of the story is that God gave this mom cancer so that the boy would come back to the store so that the man selling the shoes would be reminded of the true meaning of Christmas. The story is God gives people cancer so that you remember what Christmas is all about.
90s Christianity was wild.
It was pretty good.
What a wild time to be a Christian. Man, people want to talk about what we did in like the 13th century. No. The 90s was our worst crime. The 90s was, how many people do you think got turned off to Christianity by just Christian cinema in the 90s? Wow. So the mom has cancer.
Yes.
Sad.
Bummer.
The boy wants her to look beautiful.
For her death.
For her death, which is coming up on Christmas.
Right.
And
so he's been saving up shekels
so he's
or
been
whatever.
Saving up money to buy her shoes because the boy has a foot fetish.
Sure.
And there's nothing hotter than a dying mom in a nice pair, like the black shoes with the red bottoms to it, the real F me shoes. And that's what he wants to see her. That's what he wants to see with her legs crossed in the coffin. They're gonna bury her with her feet like up, like crossed, like she's hanging out in there, and then somehow he ropes in, I assume, gruff, handsome, middle-aged guy who owns the shoe store that maybe he didn't even really want, but his dad left it to him. And this guy doesn't have time just to be showing this kid who doesn't have enough money all these shoes. Listen, I got a business to run, kid. I don't care if your mom's sick. Get out of here. But then he thinks about it and he remembers that his own mom died in ugly shoes. And he goes out and helps that kid.
He remembered Jesus died with no shoes at all.
No shoes at all.
The worst thing the Romans did to him.
They had to take him off to get the nail in because he was wearing steel toes. He was a carpenter. He had to. It's an OSHA law.
There you go.
And then you have to assume there's some sort of nice 90s sexual attraction, Christian sexual attraction between the mom and the shoe owner guy that they don't fulfill. But if she had made it, they would have. And he takes the energy and the lessons that he learned to his new future Christian wife. Is that pretty much
Christmas Shoes 2? We open. His wife has cancer. I think that's about it.
Yeah. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Have you ever seen a dead body?
Yes, I have seen a dead body. I've seen 2 dead bodies.
Oh, which one was your favorite?
I knew one of them, so not that one. But I was driving down the road, and we saw a dude get hit, and the car spun so hard, the dude just came out the window.
Whoa.
And, like, flopped into the street. And he was definitely dead. We were going too fast. Like, we just, like, had to keep going because there's all the traffic and stuff. But that dude was definitely dead. That dude for sure. Yeah. No idea if his shoes stayed on. I would assume from the force of the whipping that he probably didn't stay on.
Huh.
But, yeah. Why do you ask?
I
forgot what we were talking about.
Christmas.
Sorry, I just had a flashback.
No, I just I think it's interesting. Maybe you happened upon a man in the woods. You had a wild couple of years. I don't know if at any point you had happened upon a body. In a
there's a lot of, you live in Denver, there's a lot of times you're walking by somebody who's like in a garbage bag, like they're like for warmth, but it's like over their head and just their feet are sticking out. And you're kind of like,
that guy didn't make it.
Is that guy alive? How's he breathing? Like, he's
to be very, very privileged. What if you're homeless? You got nothing but time on your hands. Walk somewhere warmer. I don't get why you're hanging out here.
Well,
it's so cold.
First of all, they've got more than just time on their hands. It's disgusting.
They got sores on them.
They got all sorts of junk on their hands. But I get metaphorically, yes, they've got a lot of time on their hands.
Just walk somewhere warmer. You got all the time in the world.
Do you think there's ever like a homeless guy walking south and he passes like an illegal immigrant heading north and they just kind of give like a wink and a nod?
Just the two guys standing at an elevator kind of acknowledgement.
Exactly. Just a guy, just like, this is your floor. This is it. This is your state.
I've always wanted to have a elevator attendant or a bathroom attendant. I've never been in a place where I've had unnecessary attendant.
Oh, like a guy?
Any job that Droopy Dog would have. I've never seen that guy in real life.
There were some states I think we went to like Texas or something like that, or maybe it was Louisiana, and there was just like an old like half blind dude in the bathroom who you would just give him $1 and he would hand you a wintergreen mint, and that was like his whole thing. That was just it.
Was he an employee or just a guy?
I don't know. Like he was wearing a dress, like a suit coat, like a sports coat, over a t-shirt and jeans, and he had like the fedora, like a black hat, which kind of fit with like the restaurant bar club thing, but he didn't say anything. It's just like, and you just give him the $1, and you see other people doing it, so everyone kind of just gets in a line after you go to the bathroom, and he gives you one individually wrapped wintergreen mint.
I'm always looking for a good like get rich quick scheme. That's not a bad idea.
I mean,
how long before the Broadmoor kicks me out from just hanging out in any one of the numerous bathrooms with just mints and a handout? Oregon I think it's Oregon, like recently made it like legal where you can pump your own gas.
Like
last year you still had like a gas attendant.
There was a place in Denver that like I pulled up and I got out and like I couldn't get the pumps to work. I could not figure out what was going on. And I go and I'm like, I think your pumps are broken. She goes, no, I have to pump your gas here. And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, I have to pump your gas. I'll be out in about 5 minutes. I said, what are you talking about? I just left, obviously, because like, who in the world has time for that? But yeah, there's a weird, everyone's getting into AI. We're all going, we're all going to lose our jobs. Unless we just decide like, oh, if there's a job where somebody answers questions, it has to be a person.
Yeah.
And we could be like Star Wars. That's the reason in Star Wars everyone's pushing buttons and pulling just one switch to run a spaceship.
It's a union gig.
Yeah, it's a union gig. Because
they're the only ones who are allowed to press that button.
In Star Wars, they built a bunch of spaceships powered by AI, and they all flew off. They all just disappeared, and they don't know where they are. And so they're like, no, we can't do that anymore. We're a humanist society now. We just have people doing these jobs. So everyone, it's like an old union factory job.
I think what you're describing is either Dune or Warhammer 40K, but that is a sci-fi universe somewhere where it's like we only use humans because the AI. No,
that's Star Wars. That is Star Wars. I'm telling you. I don't remember if it's the old Legends or what. They built AI spaceships, and all the AI spaceships were like peace, and they all flew out into space. And now they're like this looming threat. And they have no idea. And this was like 1,000 years ago. So now they just have humans doing that. Maybe that is Star Wars or 40K too. But
no, I think it's Dune, because in Dune, right? Isn't it like to travel through, like to go to warp speed, you gotta feed a guy drugs enough
You got to give him spice.
Yeah, you give a guy spice enough who starts to become a worm, but he's piloting the ship, and he's half man, half worm. And it's not even like it's magic, it's just that he's smart enough to fly the ship because of all the spice that his brain can...
I like the idea of this just taken to like, no more AI. Siri is not allowed to give directions anymore. You've got a guy.
You got a guy. You have to give him so much coke that he can
just tells you, he's like, left. He guides you from Oregon.
You can go 160 miles an hour. You get to Denver in 20 minutes with this guy.
And it's impossible. Are you going to look at a map? No. You have to hire somebody from the Spice Guild, which is just homeless people that we've trained to navigate for you.
That's good. That's good for the economy.
Yeah.
It's good for homelessness.
Gives them all jobs. What do you think? I think I know your opinion.
Okay.
But what do you think about legalizing all drugs?
This is a great question. I'm glad that we're going to get... let's start political.
I also like the podcast in which the host is the one who gets interviewed the entire time. Yeah. Because the whole
this
point
is more about me than
you're supposed to be interesting. I'm listening to your podcast. I'm just here to be like fodder. I'm just here to like give people a reason to
This is my ship.
Yeah, this is your ship. What do you think about legalizing all the drugs?
I think if it's just hurting you, then I don't see... Like, even if it's the worst mistake you could make, if it's just hurting you, I don't think you should, like, go to prison for it. If you end up dead in a ditch, that's kind of on you because you did too much heroin or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
It's the idea of, like, okay, a guy is going to come to your house with a gun and tell you not to do that anymore. Is it worth potentially shooting a person over, like... Smoking pot. Is that worth shooting a person over? I don't think so. Like cocaine or heroin, whatever it is. Have you ever seen the videos where like they have a gun to their head or they're about to jump off the roof and the police are there and they have guns drawn on the guy?
Yep.
Like if you don't stop trying to kill yourself right now, I'm going to shoot the hell out of you. You get down off that ledge right now, I'm going to blow you away. That's what it is to me. Of like if you don't stop killing yourself, we're going to come to your house and kick the door down and we're going to kill you if you don't stop killing yourself.
I get that.
If it's hurting other people, that's bad. Like maybe it is like I don't know. Maybe it's like distribution is illegal, but doing the drugs is not illegal. I don't know. I haven't thought it through enough. But if you're only hurting yourself, then I don't really care. You should be able to make bad choices. Yeah, it should be legal to make stupid choices in your life.
Oh, it definitely is legal. I mean, yeah, I was of the same opinion until very recently, I think. And I'm also, if it's just hurting you, sure, go ahead. No law against it. Doesn't matter. But I'm like, can you really do heroin for a long time and not hurt other people? Is there anyone out there who's done heroin for a long time? Besides, like that one college professor who does it like he's like lives the perfect life for it or whatever. Like, there's a reason you can't go into Target and get soap anymore. You have to call an attendant to come and unlock the soap for you. It's because there's a guy out there doing a bunch of heroin who's now stealing the soap. Most of those people in these cities, like Ontario, I think it was Quebec or Ontario, legalized everything. Society fell apart. Oregon has done it. Society has fallen apart. I'm beginning to think like I'm a big libertarian for the most part, but I'm kind of like maybe some people do need a little bit of authority in their life. Maybe there's some people that really do benefit very well and very much from guardrails. And I think it's fine if you can do heroin and there's no negative effects for anyone, and then one day you burst into flames. That's okay. But if you can't do heroin, and then one day, if you do a bunch of heroin, and then the next day I can't buy soap, I don't want you doing heroin anymore. It's really inconveniencing me, and I don't want to be inconvenienced by your heroin usage. Or anything, I don't want to step in shit on the sidewalk. I don't want to be forced to put up with Mr. Q's Cucumber sodas anymore. This was not invented by a sober person. And I don't know. I thought that was my... Respond.
Good. The first time I think I ever talked to you,
yeah,
semi-related, was when I worked at Comedy Works.
Yes.
You probably don't remember this.
No.
It was like 2017 or 2018. And I thought you were very funny. And I liked this is when you were going full tilt. I'm a Republican comedy.
Yeah.
And you
summer.
came up to the front desk to get like a ticket van. And I said something about seizing the means of production to you. And you went, "You're talking to the wrong guy." And then you just kind of kept walking. And I was like, oh, my God, I blew it. I blew it with the cool guy from Colorado Springs, the one cool guy we have. It was at the time it was you and Callan. Those were the two guys from Colorado Springs who were cool at Comedy Works.
Callan is cool, isn't he?
Yeah.
Callan is cool as fuck.
Callan's the best.
Every time I see that dude, I think, like, I don't know why that dude's talking to me. That dude is so cool. One of Callan's
favorite hobbies is to, when I'm hosting at Looney's, is to get wasted and then in between my sets try to ask me questions about Christ. There was one where I'm walking back to, walk back on stage. And he's like, "Hey, Russell." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Bible's got a lot to say about slavery." I'm like, "I don't have time right now, Callan. I don't have, a ton of time to go through this with you."
Oh, man.
I love talking to Callan.
Can you do a good Callan Reese impression?
No. Thad does a great one. What does Callan say? I have to just say one of his punchlines. So, "Who's throwing bones? 'Cause I'm catching." Something like that. It's not great.
That's all. That's not as bad as I thought it would be, honestly.
Yeah. Now you do Tom Hardy.
No, I'm not going to do. Now I can't think of any of his punchlines. I don't even know what to say.
Masturbating on a motorcycle.
Yeah, masturbating on a motorcycle. No, and that's Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, you're going.
Turns out working Walmart is just the same as working anywhere. You can't piss there.
Is that one of his jokes? We did a show where a bunch of us all had to do each other's acts.
Yeah.
And Callan, even though we had a group thread, we've been talking about this for 2 months. We got there, and Callan somehow had no idea this was the topic. This was the theme of the show.
Classic Callan.
He had no idea. So he just got on stage, and he was supposed to be Tracy Kellett. So he's got on stage. He had a Bud Light shirt on because that's what gays loved at the time. And he was just like, "I'm a 30-year-old lesbian. I'm a 30-year-old lesbian." He just did that for about 2 minutes. And when he got off, we're like, "Callan, you could have just said, any of Tracy's jokes." And he's like, "I don't watch her act."
See, that's a really good Callan Reese impression.
That was pretty good?
That's very good. Real Mullet Kid on Instagram.
There we go.
His thing. Yeah.
But yeah, Thad did Callan. He did it perfect. I want to do that again. I want to do I really want to do it because Johnny Bratsfield headlined. So we all did each other, and then Johnny didn't technically have to do anybody, but he did John Rummery, and he just breathed really hard and limped. Just a sick move. He told no jokes. He just breathed really hard and limped.
God damn, Johnny's so funny too.
But I wanna follow Johnny so that I have to do my impression of him, and then I just want to bring any black guy on stage with me, and just have him say all the words I can't do. I just want to do my impression of Johnny and just pass the microphone over.
I think it's a really
the ultimate loophole.
Yep, it's the ultimate loophole, especially if you've paid him in some way,
some reparations,
some sort of reparations, and then he just says it for you.
No, he's on our team. We don't have to pay him reparations. Johnny will tell you he's on our team. He's the bad boy. He'll tell you he's on our team.
So to continue what I think is probably the best idea of interviewing you, because this is the first one, and now people get to know you.
Yeah. People are clicking because they go, "The Mike Hammock?"
Yeah, exactly.
They're clicking on there, go, "Who's this little guy he's got next to him?"
Yeah, my open bar comedy special is going to be filmed January 13th at Looney's in Colorado Springs.
Say it any quieter so the microphone can't pick it up.
I can do the NPR. My open bar comedy special will be releasing January 13th in Colorado Springs.
Do you get to name it, or do they name it?
I don't know.
Do you have a name? Because you kind of blew one already.
Yeah, I did Charm Offensive, and I couldn't use any of that footage.
Listen to Charm Offensive on Spotify.
On Spotify or Apple Music or any of those things.
I've never asked you, and I'm going to do it now on the public record. Did that go well? like listens wise?
Oh, did it actually? No.
Oh,
God, no. God, no.
I've never
God,
asked you because I was afraid to ask.
To both of you out there listening, I really appreciate it.
I did the thing where I just put it on silent on repeat for like 2 days, and then I imagine your ad revenue dropped right after I stopped playing it on repeat.
No ability to market. I have no ability to network or advertise. The only thing about stand up that I'm good at is stand up, and that is it. So if this doesn't get me where I need to be, I'm gonna go home and put a gun in my mouth.
You've been threatening it for a while.
Yeah, as soon as I can afford a gun, I'm going to get one.
You got to get enough
streams. I need these sales.
I need the sales to kill myself.
To kill myself. So, you're from Colorado Springs.
I'm from Colorado Springs.
You live in Colorado Springs.
I live in Colorado Springs. You went to CSCS. I went to CSCS.
Yes, we're pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
Do you regret where you've ended up in life at this point?
Oh, this is great with my wife and daughter on the other side of that door.
Yeah, but I've met your wife and daughter, so you can answer honestly.
No, I would have. I think years ago. Well, I didn't start. By the time I started comedy, it was too late to do this. But we wanted to like move to Denver or move out of state at some point. But now it's too late to do it because all my babysitters live here. Mm-hmm. So I think pre-kid / pre-comedy because I only started stand-up like 3 months before Lydia got pregnant or gave birth or something like that.
Is that related? Did she
probably.
See you do stand-up
and
for
she was
the
like,
first time?
wow,
her ovaries just went into overdrive.
No, she's never...
Ovaries? More like under me's, am I right? Come on.
More like over hards because we can't get pregnant. Those things are boiled.
Mine was better. Keep going.
Right? So yeah, I think I would have liked to have moved earlier in my life. I don't want to die in this coal mine town of ours. But other than that, no.
Just out here mining for heathen souls.
Yeah. Other than that, no. I'm pretty happy with everything else other than I wish I would have moved sooner. But now I'm here. And now I'm just the sixth best comedian in Colorado Springs.
Who are the five above you, do you think?
I don't want to go on public record.
Do you want me to say out loud who I think is better than you?
Yeah.
Nobody, because I don't want you to lose faith in yourself, Russell.
What if that's where we ended it? That's the end of the pod. We just have cool music. It freeze frames.
Yeah.
Oh, are you doing that? Okay.
I was thinking on the way over here, I was like, what do you always talk about? Obviously, we're going to talk about stand-up. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Colorado Springs comedy scene and all of that.
You and me always ended up talking about right-wing politics. So
no, we're not doing that this time.
I'm trying to stay off that.
We're not doing that this time.
I think you even asked me about drugs, kind of tilted into that a little bit, but I think this might be the longest we've ever talked.
I know. We're doing so good. We're doing so good. My Fitbit is tracking all of this. It's phenomenal.
Your heart rate is
my
through
heart
the
rate
roof.
Is 82. It's very high right now, trying to keep it all under control. What was I going to say? I was going to talk about Colorado Springs comedy. I was talking to another comic here in town, and I was giving him advice because he's thinking about moving away to do comedy somewhere else because that's all you can do.
Is it our baby boy?
It is our baby boy.
Of course, it's Jason.
And you can't do stand-up in Colorado Springs professionally. You just can't. You can't live here and be a professional comic. And he asked me, he goes, well, you seem to do pretty well. And I said, yeah, but that's because I have made a deal with comedy. Me and comedy got together, and we agreed that I would give comedy 2 to 3 nights a week. And in return, I would look pretty good compared to everyone else in Colorado Springs. That's what I get out of comedy. Money, no. Professional advancement, no. Access to interesting people, sex, or drugs, 0. But I look pretty good compared to most of the Colorado Springs comics. And that's not to say
you're sandbagging.
That's not to say that they're not funny or not great, but they live in Colorado Springs, and there are so many opportunities.
You move to a C market.
Yes,
just to sandbag.
Yes, I'm a B- in a C+ market.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And I think anyone who really wants to do comedy should treat comedy like it's like, imagine if comedy was your job, and you told your boss, like, I can only work 2 nights a week for 4 hours or for 2 hours. But I'd also like you to give me all the money I need to live and to travel and to be recognized for this job that I'm doing. There's no job in the world that lets you do that. You got to go somewhere where you can work 5, 6 nights, 7 nights a week. And that's always. So anyway, he was asking me, do I regret not leaving Colorado Springs? And the little part of me is like, yeah, but same thing. I've got a wife and a kid and a house, and I've pretty much made my peace with comedy. I am the Deacon Gray of Colorado Springs. I will die in this town, but in my
riddled
wake,
with AIDS.
We don't know that. In my wake, like, one of you little monsters is going to make it. Like, one of you is going to make it, and I'm going to be like, I did that.
You just want credit.
I made Jason Alexander. I'm already planning on taking credit for Trenton Cotton. I fully plan to go to any podcast I can and be like, yeah, Trenton was nothing before he met me. He would be nothing without me. I'm the only one who gave him confidence, and quite frankly, I gave him most of his good tags. And he also dressed horribly before I told him to put on that black coat that he wears all the time. So, yeah.
I can't think of him before the black coat.
Yeah, there was no Trenton before the black coat. Trenton actually wasn't even his name. Trenton he misunderstood when I said trench coat, and so he just started
going,
Trenton Coat. And
that's his stage name.
That's his stage name now.
It's a cool black comic stage name.
Trenton Coat. Yep.
If you had a black stage name in the black comedy scene, if you moved down to Atlanta,
it'd be like
Banana Hammock.
Banana Hammock's too easy because my middle initial is B.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's Michael B. Hammock, and the joke.
I call you Michael B. Hammock like to Lydia as a joke, just because it's funny to use a whole name, and also I'm thinking of Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah,
I didn't realize your middle name was actual B.
Yeah, it's Brendan. It's Michael Brendan Hammock. Banana did get thrown around a lot from like 2 clever kids in middle school. But then we went to CSCS, so everyone was like, "Oh, it's kind of it's kind of pushing a line. We don't want to upset anyone."
I got taken to the principal's office once because I had a T-shirt that just had a saltine on it that said "cracker" underneath. That became a big brouhaha at CSCS.
Didn't you get expelled from CSCS?
Technically, I didn't get expelled. So 8th grade graduation. So like I graduated from middle school there, and I was not allowed to come back for high school.
Yeah, that's expelled.
I guess so. It was like in between seasons. If they don't redraft you, I don't know how football works. I was about to go into it. I don't know how drafting works in any sport in any aspect. But yeah, I did the thing in like when you graduate where it's like I had a tearaway suit on that my mom had to go to a like stripper website, like stripper supply website to get for a little boy. Which they made
she goes to stripperstripaways.com and then goes to the child section of stripperstripaways.com.
She clicks buff little boys. So I did that, and I had like Superman suit underneath, and I like saluted the crowd. I threw my 8th grade diploma because that's not a diploma. I like threw it, I saluted everyone, and I like ran out. Was like, that's a fun little 8th grader boy move. And then they were like, that caused so much, like, it's a security concern. Who knows what you could have had under those?
It's a security concern.
I tried to go back just to like hang out with my friends during lunch in high school. I had a little moped. So I drove up on my little moped thinking this is the coolest anyone's ever looked. So I drove up during lunch and I tried to walk over to my friends, and I get stopped by like the principal, and he's like, hey, you're actually not allowed to be here. You're technically a security concern. Like, I'm like, oh, I can go sign in at the office. And he's like, no, you can't. We can't have you back here.
He's like pulling on your clothes to make sure they're not going to tear away at any moment.
I asked. I'm like, well, can I at least go say goodbye? And he's like, no, you just got to go. So I just got turned away, and then I took my moped.
And cried.
And wept. Just weeping on a moped? I felt so cool driving up there. Driving back down was not a sick look. And then I'm wearing a helmet, obviously, for safety. So it's just fogging up because of all the tears. So I'm reckless driving.
That's so good.
That sucks so bad.
Wouldn't it be? I think if you wanted to prevent security risk, you should make everyone wear tearaway clothing. If at any point you're concerned somebody has a gun, you can just rip off their clothes.
Let me check.
And just search them immediately.
I guess they once... My legacy I left at CSCS.
There's still a sign that says no tearaways.
Well, they for a while they were like tugging on people's clothes at graduation just to give it like a quick check.
Which is the most like pedophile-y move there is.
Just like making sure these don't come off.
Are your clothes secure?
Let me get a peek
Does that shirt come off easy?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my big claim to fame.
That's
That's living in Colorado Springs, baby. That's all the bad stuff I got up to.
That is. I left CSCS in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. Homeschooled for a year at New Life Church. Shout out to New Life Church. Terrible place. And then I went to TCA.
You also wept. You wept at New Life Church.
Yeah, I got into a fight at New Life Church.
I know. It's one of my favorite stories of yours.
I went to the Wednesday night youth group, like every other teenager in Colorado Springs at New Life Church, for like some point. I think I must have been a sophomore in high school, something like that. And I was sitting there, and there was a kid who had used to, like, he went to my school like the year before or something, Andrew Preciado.
I love this being a real first name, last name, call people out podcast that also we drink soda pops. That's fun. I like this. I want this to get back to Andrew Preciado.
Andrew Preciado and his friend JT, whose real name I do not know. They were sitting behind me in this big, like, there's like 500 kids in this thing. It's huge. And everyone's singing or doing whatever. And they're like flicking me in the back of the head, or they're hitting me in the back of the head with something. And I remember sitting there, like, I kept turning around and be like, stop it, knock it off, knock it off. And eventually I turn around and go, if you do that one more time, I'm going to sock you in the mouth. And then I turn back around and I hear them kind of laughing at me for saying, like, sock you. Like, what is this, 1922? And I'm like, I'm a Christian kid from Colorado Springs. I don't know how to threaten people.
I don't know how to talk trash.
Yeah. And so he goes up and I hear him talking to JT. And JT's like, do it. And he goes, no. He goes, he's not going to do anything. And the second I heard that, I knew in my soul, I was like, I have to do something. It doesn't matter what the consequences are. I have to do something. And so he flicks me in the back of the head, and I just black out. I turn around, I jump out of my chair over onto him, knock him out of his folding chair, and just start punching him. And even in my rage, I know not to hit him in the face because I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble.
It's just in the chest. Just
stress sobbing, punching this kid in the chest as hard as I can. Like every YouTube video you see now, every TikTok you see now in which a kid isn't wearing the right shoes, in Baltimore, just gets the shit beat out of him. I'm just punching and sobbing. And eventually somebody pulls me off of him. They take me out. I'm crying. And I explain to the guy, like, he hit me in the back of the head. And the guy's like, oh, you calm down. You come back in whenever you want. And then Andrew was banned forever.
Wow.
They excommunicated him from New Life Church.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So he survived the shooting, actually. So that actually worked out in his favor. That was actually kind of a boon for him.
I don't know what I have to assume that Andrew went to jail. I have to, because he was just that kind of kid. Because I remember after that, I was the talk of the school. Everyone was like, Mike beat up a kid in church, and he didn't even get in trouble. And they're like, Andrew's going to come to the school and fight you. And even then, and like at 14, I was like, no, he's not. Andrew's not going to come here and try to fight me. And so I just
is his mom going to drop him off
exactly.
for a fist fight?
I was like, what is he going to do? Leave school in the middle of the day, get a ride over here, find me in class, and then fist fight me in English?
Get a cab?
Yeah. So that was honestly a peak moment for me.
Nothing is funnier than fighting and crying.
Oh my gosh. It's the only way I know how to fight.
To win and to be throttling, like the image of you choking him to death. The light is leaving his eyes and you're just weeping on top of him. So cinematic. Your tears are hitting his eyes and rolling down his cheek.
I think that's a sign you're a comic. I think if you can fight somebody in any emotional state besides absolute just stressed out terror and fear and anger and sadness, you're not meant to be a comic. That's like you. Yeah, I have never fought anybody without crying. There's only been 2, but still.
I've never been in like a real life fist fight.
Yeah.
I'd like to be. I want to know what kind of man I am.
Man, the urge to just sweep this off the table right now.
Go at it.
Just go at you right there was so high.
It's like every night before bed, I think about it. It's
every night?
Every single night before bed, I think about like, okay, let's say I'm in the mall. Let's say I'm hanging out in the mall. There's bandits in the mall. The mall's just roaming with bandits at this point. I'm in the mall, and I bump into a biker gang member at Stacy's.
Is there a particular gang that you'd like to fight?
Bulky, just any kind of bulky gang member.
I don't know who he is, but he wears huskies.
But I think about like, okay, what do I do? Am I Can I keep my distance? Are we keeping this standing? Do I take him down to the ground? If I take him down to the ground, are his friends going to come kick me in the head? Or because they're gang members, do they actually have some weird sense of code and honor and they wouldn't step into the fight? If I try to choke this guy out, is he actually secretly... Because you don't know it. It's like, is he secretly a jiu-jitsu black belt and he's going to choke me out? So no, I got to keep this standing. But also, I've never punched a person in my life. I used to, maybe I've told you this before, I used to only buy jeans that would let me do the splits.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So in case I needed to kick someone in the face, I thought in a survival setting, I would simply throw Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin music and just drill someone in the chin with a kick. I never wore sandals. I only wear closed-toed shoes in case someone tries to rape me. And I'm on gravel. Now I'm trying to run on gravel with sandals, with flip-flops. That's not happening. Closed-toed shoe. So, yeah, I think a lot about fist-fight scenarios.
Every night you think about a fist-fight scenario.
Pretty much, I think, every single night.
So sometimes you'll be in bed, and Lydia will just, like, put her hand on your leg, and you'll just roll away and go, not yet. I'm not ready yet.
No, it wasn't. When we were
you can only have me if I win this fight in my head.
When we were first married, there were multiple mornings where I almost hit her in the face because she'd be like, "Good morning, sweetheart." Ah, ah, ah. Because I wasn't used to having someone around, and I was just real. When I got, like, I trained myself. I trained my body to when I get scared, it's just throw hands. Which I almost kicked a pregnant woman in the chest once.
How did you train your body for this?
Every time I would get scared, even if it was after the fact, it was like, ah. Even if the moment's passed, you still throw the punch, and eventually it just becomes when you feel that feeling, you throw the punch as an instinct.
I just imagine you going to, like, every Halloween, like, rolls around, you're like, it's training season, and you just go to a haunted house, and you're just walking around with, like, the karate ready stance.
Have you ever seen those videos of, like, people who go to a haunted house?
And just deck the dude?
Like, what did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
I saw one recently where a guy, like, ran out through the parking lot to, like, some ghoul in the street. He's like, "Don't scare my girlfriend," and then he hit her. Hit, like, the ghoul, which was a woman, and just, like, beat her up. It was like, "You don't scare my girlfriend." It's like, why are you going to the haunted house if you're like, "Don't scare my girlfriend"?
I feel like all of those people fly Frontier. I feel like the entire energy contained in a haunted house person who punches the ghouls, they just leave that haunted house, get on a Frontier flight back home, and just fight their whole way.
I don't know. Do you know anyone in your social circle who would be someone who would work at a haunted house?
Yeah, dude.
Cut those people out of your life. You do not need them. I can't think of a single person that I would consider a friend who would work at a haunted house.
Not somebody I would consider a friend.
Okay.
But there are plenty of people in the comedy community who would work. I'm pretty sure who do work at haunted houses.
This is their big break. I'm scary woman.
I'm not going to be mean and name names, but, like, I think if you go outside of any comedy club and look at somebody smoking a cigarette, that person will 90% of the time work at a haunted house in the off season or a Spirit Halloween store. Right?
I think there's certain things that as an adult I'm very judgmental about other adults that maybe I necessarily shouldn't be. Drinking, doing drugs. You're better than that. Come on. Knock it off.
Yeah, you've never done a hard drug before, have you?
Seeing a 40-year-old wasted, come on. Get it together. Figure it out.
Sure.
There are things like adult, over 25, Halloween's your favorite holiday. Come on. That's pedophile stuff?
Yeah.
That's theater kid stuff.
There's
a third one, rule of three for comedy.
There's somebody on my street, right around the corner. Like, not on my street. I have to, like, go up towards the gas station. They always live closer to the gas station than you. And they love Halloween. They love it. But all of their Halloween decorations, like 90% of them are homemade. It's like they took plywood and cut it into the shape of Chucky's head and, like, drew his head on and spray painted it themselves. And it's always way too violent.
That's almost scarier.
It is.
Homemade Chucky doll.
It's still up.
So much scarier.
It's still up in their yard. And it's like their yard is always huge, and it's a mixture of dirt and grass, you know. And it's like this big hill up to their crappy house. and it has 4 cars in the parking lot and an RV that
Do
never
they have the
moves.
"Do Not Tread on Me" flag?
They do not, because they're not political, obviously.
Okay, they're right down the middle.
That would take too much time away from Halloween. And it's just like homemade. I have a theory that anyone who's really into A Nightmare Before Christmas is a bad person.
You've told me this before?
Yeah.
I have some really bad news.
You can't be.
No. My sweet, sweet baby girl was recently exposed to A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Your daughter or
Yeah.
your lady on the side?
Michael, we talked about this. This is not pod material.
It's me.
No, Vi recently got super into Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
and I think about your one joke I remember Nightmare Before Christmas isn't that bad. Listening to the songs, the music is bad.
Yeah,
the songs
it's
are
horrible.
trash. There's not a banger in this soundtrack. But I always think about your joke, and not even the whole joke, just this, you can't judge a book by its cover unless that book has a picture of the guy from The Nightmare Before Christmas on it.
Yep.
That's so funny. I think about it every time she watches this. I'm like, God, I know exactly what kind of woman you're going to grow up into.
If
just
you
from watching
don't
this movie.
Curtail this in some way, she is going to weigh 900 pounds. She will have a Jack Skellington on her thigh-sized arm, and she will constantly be getting railed over and over again by dudes who weigh half of her. That's the future if you don't stop.
What color
this.
are those guys?
They're all white.
Okay.
They're all white.
Okay, so we got something going for us. Something's going all right. It's not as bad. All right, so
it is. Have you ever? It's like in movies and in Hollywood, people who do a lot of drugs and are very successful exist. Like you can take Joe Rogan as an example. Dude does a bunch of DMT and a bunch of shrooms and a bunch of weed. Wildly successful person. But the average person that you meet who does anywhere close to that is always a mess. Every time I've ever met somebody who's like, you should really try shrooms. It'll fix all the problems in your life. It'll fix all your mental issues. It brings you closer to God. I'm like, you don't seem very close to God. You seem very close to a complete nervous breakdown. Why would I take the advice that you give, kind of a thing? That's the Jack Skellington of the non-drug world. That is like the first indicator. If your kid starts saying from the river to the sea, you're kind of like, maybe this is something I should look into. Maybe this is like a sign of something bigger that's wrong. Jack Skellington is the from the river to the sea of the Disney world.
Oh, that sign says from the river to the sea, but it says a lot of things in Arabic that I can't read. Yeah. Let me go ahead and translate that real quick.
Yeah.
It's not looking so good for old Russell.
Yes. I think school should have to tell you if your kid starts switching their gender or if your kid starts talking about A Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't think that's something teachers should keep from their parents.
We made it 55 minutes before we started. We were almost to the end before.
Are we only doing an hour? I think an hour
seal.
is. I think the artificial cutoff is too soon.
I originally thought this should be like 25 minutes. This should be like real quick and easy. When I officially did the Beanie Boys one time, there's so many times I did it before and it went bad every time. They don't know how to do audio. They don't know how to do video. They forget to turn the microphones on. Man, a real shoddy operation.
You were just burning bridges here. I can't believe you would say such cruel things about Thad Bree, Cameron McKenzie, Joe Bruno, and the Beanie Boys production at Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Get your audio issues together, guys. Turn on all the microphones all the time. That's all you have to do. I started my own show. I started Pike's Punks just because everyone else did a bad job at doing a local showcase, and it made me man enough to I'm like, fine, I'll do it.
I'll do it myself.
That's mostly what this is.
I imagine you.
I just want good video, good audio.
As Liam Neeson from The Gray, but instead of being hunted by wolves, you're being hunted by shitty comedy shows. And at the very end, the shitty comedy shows have cornered you at, say, Trainwreck, the bar that you can't do a show at because somebody else is doing a show there now.
I emailed them every 2 months.
And you take a bunch of Mr. Q cucumbers bottles and you shatter them and you're just taping them to your hand. And you say, fine, I'll do it myself. And then you go host Pike's Punks.
Is that what The Gray is?
The Gray? Yeah.
I remember the advertising of The Gray was like, and this is old news now. This is real topical. The Gray was like, watch Liam Neeson kill a wolf with his bare hands.
Pretty much.
And then I never saw the movie, so I have zero opinion on this. From what I've heard of people, it's like, watch Liam Neeson be cold for an hour and 45 minutes. Also, at one point, there's a wolf, and he kind of just scares it off.
The Gray is about a bunch of dudes who get into a plane wreck in Alaska, and they're being hunted by wolves that are coming to eat the bodies. And they have to hike out, and they don't know if they're hiking deeper into wolf territory, in which it'll get worse and they'll probably all die, or out of wolf territory. And so as they're hiking, mishaps happen. Guys fall off cliffs, and the wolves that are kind of just tracking them start eating them and pull a guy out of the firelight. And the whole movie is about Liam Neeson like praying to God, help me, help me, help me, help me. And then by the end of the movie, it's just Liam Neeson. And he has this kind of realization that no help is coming. And he's just like, I'm going to do it myself. And so he does like, and then it goes from like this quiet, horrifying, somber look at the inhumanity of nature into MacGyver.
And then you just hear like a sick bass line.
As he starts the little liquor bottles on planes.
New metal starts playing.
They make those out of glass. All of a sudden he's like shattering them and taping them between his knuckles. And this big wolf comes over and he's like, come on, you son of a bitch. And like that's where the movie ends.
Oh, so you didn't even get to see the fight.
Well, then it like,
was the
I
main
think
point
it's
of the
post-credit scene. It like shows him and the wolf like embraced. Like you don't know who's dead or who's alive. And then one of them, you can't tell if it's the wolf breathing or if it's him moving his arm, but one of them makes it.
I think the post-credit scene, punching up through a grave is a wolf's paw. Any post-credit scene, I really want that to be the end of Oppenheimer. It like the mid-credit scene is it pushes into a foggy gravestone, and the gravestone just says Adolf Hitler, and then you see a bony hand punch up through. And then it cuts to black.
Oh my god! Just a wolf in a meadow somewhere. Just a wolf, just like walking around a meadow, and then a hand bursts from its stomach.
Or you just see like an eye open. That's always the post-credit scene: is a hand coming out or an eye opening. But yeah, Adolf Hitler.
I would
Mecha soldier.
love to see that. And so would a lot of people today in today's politics. They'd love to see Hitler come back, wouldn't they?
For one more shot at it.
For one more shot at it. Did you ever think, as a Jew, you would see this much anti-Semitism?
I'm Jewish on a technicality.
Also,
and I have.
Why is it called Semitism? What's a Sem?
I do have over there. I do have a book that is Judaism for Dummies.
Is it?
That I've never cracked open.
Is there another kind? Come on, I got you so good. I'm sorry. I respect Israel has a right to exist. But seriously,
no, I don't know. I don't know why it's called Zion. I don't know any of these things.
That's I think just a biblical. I think it's just a name. But like, I was trying to think of a term for that's the same thing, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head now because I'm nervous. But why did you ever think you would see this much anti-Semitism?
No, there is. So now we're
and
getting.
Are you worried that it's going to affect the numbers of this podcast?
It has been affecting my closer.
Which one's your closer?
Jewish people make some noise.
Oh yeah, it makes a noise. Yeah, that must be murdering right now.
No, it's actually people are really dialing back on it.
Oh,
I did my first Don't Tell show, and went pretty good.
January 6th.
Oh really?
Yep.
Oh, your anniversary.
Yep.
Your most favorite day.
That's why they wanted me.
And yeah, everything was going good. I did a couple news stuff. Everything was going great. And at the end, I got to like Jewish people make some noise. See how quiet that gets? Still quiet.
Oh.
And I'm like, when you hear Jewish people make some noise, that's just a dog whistle for identify yourself, Yuden. All right, well, I guess I'm going to leave on that. Like, it was going so well right until Jew stuff. Everyone backed off. So that I haven't really felt any anti-Semitism, but my closer's not doing as good, and that's just as bad.
I feel like that's the history of the Jews entirely. It was going so well until
that thing right at the end.
Date in history.
Going back, I hate it when podcasts bring up a thing and they never get back to it, and 25 minutes later, the podcast just ends. You're like, but I wanted to hear the end of that thing. Yes. No one cares. I did the Beanie Boys one.
Yeah.
It was like 25 minutes, and I had like members of my family be like, yeah, I listened to it because it was only 25 minutes. If it was like an hour, I see all these hour-long podcasts. I never listen to them, but I listened to that one because it was only like 25 minutes. So like maybe there's something in that. It doesn't have to be an hour. Could be 20 minutes. Could be half an hour. Maybe that gets more engagement. But also, then I'm like, maybe it shouldn't even be that. Maybe it should just be on like the flow of the conversation. If me and you were having a good time, big burp I just swallowed. I'm very proud of myself. Maybe it just goes on for 2 hours. If me and someone else is not, maybe it's not going so well. Maybe it is only 20 minutes. But then I'm like, that looks like a real dick move. If you're like, the mic one is 2 hours. When he talked to Cameron, it was only 35 minutes. It's just statistically showing you how much I do or don't like you. So I don't know when to actually cut it off.
Why don't you chop it up into 2? Why don't you take this conversation, take what you think are the best parts, cut it into 25, and then just release the raw version right behind it and do 2 episodes?
Just do like a highlights?
An edited and an unedited version.
But every piece of this was the highlights, Mike.
That's true. That's true. I mean, maybe we only have one. I mean, maybe for some of us you only have one. But I could really see you cutting out just huge portions of what I've been talking about this whole time.
Mostly the anti-Semitism stuff.
The pro-Semitism, which sounds so much worse than anti-Semitism. It sounds like I'm pro-Semitic, but I don't know why that sounds so much worse.
I like those guys.
Yeah, but I still don't understand what Semitic means.
No, I don't. So I'm like, Jew is my closer. I'm technically Jewish in that I found out I was Jewish when I was like 20.
Sure.
Have I told you this?
Yes.
My mom.
But you haven't told them.
I haven't told the fans. That's when they all applaud.
Are we doing a freeze frame? Yes.
All the fans are like, he's looking right at me. No. So I didn't know. My mom didn't know like her family. She had her mom, who was essentially a prostitute, and no dad, no family. She didn't know like who she came from or who was there on her side of the family, until all she knew is that her grandma had like a French accent, and so she's like, I think we're French or something, I don't know. And then she was on she lived on an Indian reservation for a while, and she's like, I think we're Cherokee or something cool. And then years later, her mom, who she hadn't talked to in like 20 years, got some operation. My mom's her only kin, so she like had to fly out to help her recover. And while she was at her mom's house, found all this like documentation and stuff about like, pictures she had never seen before, like photo books and letters and all these things that her mom had been hoarding. And it turns out the reason her grandma had a French accent is because they were from Morocco. My mom's like the first person born in the United States. There's a whatever term for that.
First generation.
Yeah, first generation born in the U.S. They were from Morocco. From Morocco, they were originally in Spain, and then they were in Spain from Israel. So it was like we're the tribe of Levi, and they were like a family, a lineage of rabbis. They moved to Spain, so we're Sephardic Jews, and then I think they fled Spain, during like the Holocaust. So then they went to Morocco. And then from Morocco to La Brea, California. So yeah, I didn't know I was Jewish until I was 20, and people think it's a big part of my personality and who I am, and they come to me with questions and looking for...
it is your closer.
It's a closer.
It's your closer.
There's so many people.
You seem to be sitting on both sides of the fence right now, Russell.
There's a lot of people.
It's not a big deal, or it's your closer.
I'm Lithuanian, or I'm Irish, or whatever. But I wouldn't be like, tell me about the IRA. They don't know. It's just like, technically, from somewhere down the line, we're Irish, so I'm Irish. Whatever. I am Jewish. That's as far as it goes. I know it's a fact.
The energy that's coming off of you right now is like you're trying to talk your way out of this. Like, no. I
do think it's very funny to like, because we thought like
we're like 17 times removed. It's from Morocco to France to Spain, and then like we went on safari. We're Sephardic Jews.
It's a very Jewish way to approach the situation, like a scared rat. Just like no, chill, calm down. I think it is funny because we thought like, okay, are we like Sioux? Are we Blackfoot? Are we Cherokee? Because my mom she just grew up on a reservation because she was poor.
Yeah.
Was not actually Indian in any way.
You're not Jason Alexander. You're not a full-blood Indian who is the perfect representation of you and your people.
What was I just saying?
You were saying that you have. I can't repeat what you said because it sounded very anti-Semitic.
It sounded bad.
Something about a rat.
Was really hoping
yes,
that
you were going to be Native American. You thought
really
you were
hoping we were going to be Native American. Found out we were Jewish, and we were pretty bummed out about it. And I feel like that's like nature versus nurture.
We were so close.
Nature versus nurture. That's a pretty Jewish way to react to finding out you're Jewish. It's like, you know, I'm not going to do the voice.
I guess.
I was hoping. We thought we were going to be something cooler. It just turns out we're Jews.
I had always grown up in Colorado Springs. I mean, you went to a Christian school.
Yeah.
Jewish. Obviously, you didn't know you were Jewish until you were in your 20s. So that explains why the lights burned you and you did so poorly there. And
every time
you were ostracized and kicked out of your school.
Every time I held a cross, it turned into a snake.
Yeah. Obviously, that's just CSCS stuff.
Did you ever do the Christian pledge? You do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then you do the Christian pledge. They made you. It was a white flag with a red cross on it. And then
it had the blue. Had the blue.
Yeah,
with the field and right.
You had to pledge allegiance to that.
I think we did.
I couldn't tell it to you for the life of me, but I remember doing it a lot, and even as a kid being like, I don't feel super comfortable. Like, I'm in, but this feels weird.
Oh, I was a real Captain America.
As
I would definitely would have been in for that.
I don't sing in church.
I don't sing in church.
When
Singing
like
in church
we're all
is
gonna
stupid.
pray. I don't do anything that is like we're all gonna do it together.
Yeah,
because I'm like, that's how they get you. If I am in a cult, that's how they get you.
That's singing.
How they get you bought in, is that big communal. We're all doing it together. That's how they
lack
brainwash
of oxygen. You're not thinking properly.
Yeah, I'm always kind of 1 foot out the door just to make sure.
The part about church I like the least is the magic trick they do at the end, in which you've gone through the singing, you've gone through the donation, the pastor has given his speech, and there's only 3 types of pastors we will go into in a second. You go through the whole speech, and he's like, let's bow our heads for prayer. And you bow your heads for the final prayer so you can get out of there. And when you look up, the band is coming out again to do another song. The band wasn't there when you closed your eyes, and then you open them, and they've appeared during the prayer to play one more song that you have to listen to.
Do you close your eyes when you pray?
Not anymore.
I've again, since childhood, I'm scoping the room.
I say, nowadays, if I was going to shoot up a church, I would be doing it when everyone bows their head. That seems like the time.
No, you do it right after, because then they're all ducking.
If you
got to wait till they come back up.
If you go to church now, there's cops everywhere at churches now. I'm sure it's the same with synagogues and mosques, but like there's like 4 or 5 cops wandering around the church when you go to church. It's a very weird feeling to just be like, why? Like there's like you go out. So, okay, so now in church, I don't really go to church anymore. We do go, but we had my son who doesn't sleep, and we just had the newborn. So what I do now is to give my wife a break. Today, I took my son to church. I checked him into the church daycare.
And you go sit in the parking lot.
I go sit in the coffee shop, and I just have a cup of coffee and wait as every cop comes by to scope me out as just the dude with the shaved head sitting in the coffee shop at church, not going to church. And, I just sit there and I look at my phone. Sometimes maybe I'll read the Bible a little bit, but for the most part, I'm just like, I'm taking a break. And then I go pick my kid up at the end of service when I hear the music start going. And we go home. And it's like great free hour of childcare. But yeah. Every time I do that, all of the cops at some point will come by and like sit in the coffee shop and look at me for like a minute. Just to let me know that they know that I know that they're there, kind of a thing. But nobody, everyone's too polite to be
it's a smart move.
They're all too polite to be like, what are you doing here?
That's a sick parenting move. Any parents out there looking for free childcare, they can't.
Jews, atheists, doesn't matter. They can't ask you.
They can't. Yeah, they can't. They
can't ask you. Yeah, they can't be like, "What are you? Are you a Christian?" Is that why you're? They can't. You just have to take your kid and watch it for you.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
This is a how-to kind of pod now. We're giving cool, unethical Christian tips.
There's nothing unethical about it. They're offering. They promised to watch my kid.
So you got 3 kinds of pastors.
You've got young pastor that's definitely probably gay.
Okay.
He's always wearing a leather or a denim jacket, and he's always wearing like the cut-off Chelsea kind of heeled boot.
TikTok pastor.
Yeah, and he's always talking about how hot his wife is. It's like part of every sermon. And it's like, who are you trying to convince here, buddy? And everyone is like, I was working this hard job. I was working a hard job, and I've just put in the work because I just know God cares if you put in the work. And then, I discovered that this hard work I was doing for this guy, he was going to give me that car the whole time. Like, that was my car. It's like, and I'm like, if I hadn't put in such hard work, I would have gotten a worse car. And that's how God works, everyone. My wife is so hot.
I love the move when it's like, you know, and I sit there and I would try and I would try and I would try, but I always end up making the same mistake. But you know who never? I know a guy. I know a guy who never made a mistake. It's like, oh, I wonder what guy he's talking about.
Yeah. That's number 2 is the guy who has no voice modulation. The pastor who he'll just break. It's like he has a mental disorder. That's the guy who at my church, he will just be like, and then, you know, if you are a parent who has to deal with this kind of craziness coming in school and you're not prepared for that, for your kids, where will we be?
That's the one that always like aroused my suspicions when I was a kid, because
they also aroused me.
I knew that was the wrong word when I said it. But like, okay, so this is the 3rd service of the day. You're the pastor. You're getting just as worked up on service 3 as you are on service 1.
Yeah.
And
this feels very disingenuous.
That's right when like the keyboardist will hit a little key change. Like right as he's getting right there. What? Like it's like you got cues. You have like musical cues to your speech.
Yeah.
I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Something fugazi about it. I don't know if fugazi is a word. I don't know if that's a word we can say.
I
think it's just cool Italian. I don't think there's anything.
You can't say gypped anymore, can you?
I can.
You can.
Yeah.
Can you?
We're in the same ballpark.
I don't know. I feel like I probably can. Anyway, yeah. You feel it's very disingenuous. There's an element of just like, yeah, it's like, this is your 3rd time saying this. And this is, by the way, this is Sunday. There's a Friday night service. There's a Saturday afternoon service, and you're still like crying right here at this point. And then, by the way, those tears disappear 3 sentences in. You go right back to it, and you're like, and this is why we have.
I always have had a theory that if your church has a Saturday afternoon service, that there is a sex scandal somewhere. Good churches are on Sunday. Sex scandal churches are on. If you don't have to wake up early on Sunday. Your church has a sex scandal going on.
That's how Saturday services get started, is a guy, the pastor was caught banging somebody, and he's like, oh no, this is Saturday afternoon service. Everyone get in here. We're having Saturday afternoon service. And then everyone's like, oh, we do this now. It's like, yeah, we do this now. Yeah. And that's how it was born.
The youth pastor was on a bender Friday night.
Yeah.
And they can't wake up at 9 a.m. Saturday morning, so they have to wait till the afternoon. Yeah, Saturday service churches, just wait. Just wait. It happens every time.
Somebody's getting fucked. And then the 3rd pastor is obviously the guest pastor from out of town who tries to be funny.
Dudes, me and Lydia did CPR training yesterday.
Like respiratory, like CPR training?
Yeah, first aid CPR.
You never know with Christian church. That's like Christ preparedness and readiness training. Like, you never know. Like CPR in the Christian community, we have a lot of acronyms. You know,
this was real first aid CPR.
Yes,
did first aid CPR.
At the
yesterday.
end, it's like, and after 5 minutes, if you do not see a response, you begin the Lord's Prayer.
So, dude, the guy leading it, nice older man, probably 70. Nice dude. I was already kind of not in the mood because I don't want to be in a first aid CPR class for 4 hours.
Yeah.
The night before, for whatever reason, I just slept for like 2 hours. I fell asleep at 8, woke up at 10. Was up from 10 till 4 p.m. or from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Baldur's Gate?
No, I just laid in bed staring at the ceiling.
Ugh.
Just a nightmare. And then fell asleep for like another 2 hours. So I was already kind of like cranky. I'm out of it. I already don't want to be here. The guy leading the CPR training, he's got bits. He's got riffs. He's got tags. He's doing crowd work. He's a real showman up there. So, like, he had one where it's like, because we're going through, like, a puncture wound. If you have a puncture wound, if you get a nail or a staple through you, like, do you leave it in or do you take it out?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I was talking to a woman once. I said, let's say you come home. There's a butcher knife in your husband's chest. Do you leave it in or take it out? She says, why would I take it out? I just got done putting it there.
That's good.
That's
good.
He's
That's
got like
solid
real
material.
Dangerfield kind of energy.
Yeah.
He sounds like Jesse Ventura, if you know who that is.
Yes. Former wrestler, governor of Michigan?
Minnesota.
But
yeah, so he sounds like Ventura, who's got Dangerfield kind of energy. But then he starts going into like, okay, you're given the Heimlich maneuver. Like, you make sure it's like, find the belly button, do 1 inch up, and you push up. Okay, don't do it on the solar plexus. Do it here. Now, if you got to do the Heimlich maneuver and he's pregnant, what do you do? And we were like, do it on like the sternum. And I was like, I said he's pregnant. 10 years ago, that would have killed. But you people nowadays, you're like, oh, maybe he is. I don't know. I can't say. So he's doing like a you can't say anything anymore kind of bit. He kept talking
This used to be a fun job. I used to really enjoy coming to teach people CPR, but now you libtards have ruined it.
The woke left. He started talking about the Mexicans having a siesta, and he said out loud, he's like, someone told me I'm not supposed to say the Mexicans, but they're the people. It's like the Incredibles. They're just the Mexicans. So he starts talking about how a siesta is a really good, healthy thing to do. But he just kept... He had more advice. So at the end, he gives you his business card. He's got his like phone number and email. He's like, if you ever have questions, if you ever forget, like, what do I do if like an infant needs help, a pregnant woman needs help, whatever it is, you can
email him.
You can call me, you can email me, you can text me. It's free. At any point, reach out to me, of course. But don't reach out to me if it's an emergency, okay? Call 911 if it's an emergency. You call me and it's an emergency, I'm going to go, oh, hello, who is it this? I don't know who you're talking about. He's not here right now. It was. I started laughing. No one else did. I'm laughing for being so uncomfortable. It's like watching someone bomb.
Yes.
And then laughing at them bombing. So I get so uncomfortable, I start laughing. He's like, he gets it. I'm like, don't you point at me. Don't you start pointing at me.
Gets it.
Don't you start pointing at me. He was wild. It did. I was so grumpy initially because I'm like, oh my God, stop riffing, stop doing crowd work, please, just like, let's get through this class. By the end of it, I was having a great time. He really made that class fly.
I constantly leave speeches, churches, anytime I have to go and like listen to somebody, I go, wow, that was terrible crowd work. I will say, I'll tell Karen, I'm like, that dude could, like, his timing was off. He could have done such a better setup there. Like, I'm like, if you're doing a 30-minute set on Job, at least dress, something like that. It's the lens through which I see the world at this point.
He kept like looking at like people he would say something and goes like, look at Lexi over here. Lexi's like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. Like, he kept doing that, which is like, there's a Tim Robinson sketch. I think you should leave sketch where he's like a chef on a cooking thing. He's like, look at Tanya over here. Tanya's like, more cake, please. And then Robert over here is like, this cake's getting me hard. And they're like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I don't feel that way. And they're like, it is you, Robert. That is how you're feeling right now. But that's what he kept doing. He's like, look at Josh over here. Josh is like, this is getting a little out of hand. I'm like, stop.
Josh wouldn't do CPR on another man, would he, Josh?
He did. He kept doing that where he's like, do you suck the venom out? I was like, no, you don't suck the venom out. It's impossible to do anyways. And he's like, yeah, I told my friend Derek, you get bit on the butt by a snake, I ain't sucking out nothing, okay? I'm not going down there. He was talking about if you get stung by a jellyfish, don't pee on it. And he's like, even if it did work, I'm stung by a jellyfish, I'd rather die than have another man pee on me. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, he's really swinging for the fences.
A blood transfusion? What color is the guy?
With a homo? No, thank you. That was his whole... in between, like, really serious, like,
so
you turn the page and then you watch someone who has, like, 4th-degree burns on their fingers, so, like, you see the bone and the sweltering, like, you see their gnarled, mangled hand, and then he's like, and Josh is over here thinking.
You want to ride that line in comedy, and you kind of want to see it. You do want to see it, not like that, but you want to see a certain level of, like, looseness in the general population. There was a guy with the open mic, got up on there, guy in his like mid-40s. I think he had done stand-up like 3 times before, but somebody came up to me as I'd never seen him before, and they go, hey, watch this guy. And the dude gets up there and proceeds to say retard like 75 times in a row. Every joke is just about this retarded kid, and this kid's retarded, and this kid is, They put him in the marching band even though he's retarded, and they just kept him. He marched to his own song, and he had his wood block, and he's a little just every single one. And the audience starts off just like, what is this?
Yeah, but by the end, standing applause.
By the end, yeah, kind of. Kind of. Like, he did better than most people did that night.
They crowd surfed him out like Rudy.
And like every comic after him, then like most nights you will go months without hearing somebody say the word retard. I think every comic after him was used it at some point or something like that. And there's a huge debate that got started like when I was in college. Like, can you say the R word or something like that? And people generally just kind of self-filtered, and it kind of just filtered out. But you want some looseness in comedy. You want people to be able to say edgy ideas or things or something like that. But then you get people that are like, yeah, now we can all say it.
Now we can do the
now
thing I've been waiting for.
Everyone can say whatever they want now, and I'm going to teach this CPR class the cool way. And it's going to be a lot of ching, chang, chong in there. And it's going to be like, no, go back.
I thought that was going to be a big thing when Trump was president. It's like, because I grew up playing Halo online. Trump becomes president. I'm like, oh, sick, so we can say gay again. If the president's allowed to say it, I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah.
I tried the same thing with Obama. That's a new one. I'm working on. That's a new one I was working on.
Yeah, I've always known the way my life falls apart is like I do one of these podcasts, and that phrase is like somebody just clips together me just saying retard.
They do a super cut,
and then it's just
they have a tally sheet.
You want to be able to say things like in a certain way, and then I'm going like, and then that's it. That's what just gets sent to my boss, and that's the end of my life. Yeah. How do you feel your first podcast?
I think that went pretty good. I was looking at the time, hour 20.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel really good. I would keep going if I wasn't so thirsty. My balls didn't hurt so bad right now.
Well, maybe if you had a little bit more. Mr. Cumber. Really trying to get that. Dude, if I get one soda company, just to be like, I'll send you a case of.
Dude, just get Big K.
Big K?
Or Shasta.
Shasta?
Yeah.
No, we're talking independent brewers, mom and pop shops.
There were
these big wigs like Shasta and Fago. No way, dude.
They sponsored some open mic in Denver. Like they sent them a banner and as much as like free whatever it is they could drink, just to be like.
I gotta start figuring that out because I see shows in Denver that are like sponsored by Laughing Lab.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like
they just go to the brewery. They just say, "Give me $100 a month, and I will mention you at the show." And the band that's like nothing for them. So they're like, "Yeah, go ahead." And they send them a poster and a banner, and they do it. You could easily fund this if you were just willing to give up your exclusive contract with Mr. Q Cucumber Sparkling Cucumber Beverage.
There's others. Okay, not everybody's gonna get a Mr. Cucumber.
Can we try another soda to end it on? Can we try a different one?
I could run upstairs and get you a McFuddy's Pepper Elixir.
Is it pepper elixir? Like ground pepper?
It's a McFuddy's Pepper Elixir. You just have to try it. It's surprisingly strong. I think that's on. It's like decently strong or something like that on the bottle.
Yeah, I'd like to end this by trying a different
one. Okay, we're gonna put quick hiatus.
Don't hiatus. I just want to sit here.
Okay, you vamp.
No.
You tell me how you feel about certain communities, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
I was saving this for Jason because he's deceptively strong or whatever it says on there.
This looks much better.
But Jason was sick and pooping too much, so you get to try it now. This is McFuddy's Pepper Elixir. Hurry up, my battery's running low. I should have plugged in the laptop. What do you think?
Starts like a Dr. Pepper.
Uh-huh.
Ends like cough syrup.
So pretty good, you would say.
Better than the cucumber.
Okay. Really slurp it. Really make a meal out of it. Why don't you?
You got to get it in my mustache. Yeah, I could see how that, if you gave up, like if you were like, this is like, I'm only drinking sodas that make me look like I really know how to play Warhammer 40K, the tabletop version. I could see how that would be your go-to soda. I like that. I would drink that.
I kind of want to get into that, but I can't have people thinking already less of me than they do.
You know who really likes that? Austin Brinker.
Yeah, but he's also tall and handsome.
Tall and handsome.
Yeah,
He's just tall. He's just tall.
He's just kind of tall.
He's just kind of tall.
The tall makes up for a lot of.
He's got great hair. Listen, no one is saying that I'm better looking than Austin. I'm not saying that. Just saying Austin's not that good looking.
It is weird. My laptop is about to die. I should have plugged it in. It is weird to see people walking around with mullets when it was like, that was Callan's thing for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's accidentally handsome.
Yeah.
He's accidentally in fashion.
Yeah.
That sucks. I hate that.
I really like how we could have ended with this. Like, how do you feel your last podcast went? Like, pretty good. You want to try one last soda? And then we ended it with, like, you know who's not good looking?
We can
Austin
cut this
Brinker.
at any point. We can cut this at any moment. That's going to be the podcast. Next time I can remember to plug the laptop in. Michael B. Hammock, thank you so much. Real quick, before we end, look right in that camera. Do your best Tom Hardy impression for us, why don't you?
No.
Thank you, guys. That's Bubble Boy. You gonna stiff me? You gonna stiff me on the?
No, I'm not gonna give you like the most terrible, awkward ending ever.
You're not gonna give me satisfaction.